rotation as well.
Yeah, perfectly. And yeah, and exactly, Kevin, it was great. It was, as you were mentioning, we were talking about those cells coming together and then that one that separated. And as Kevin was mentioning there, you kind of got to see how we kind of analyze the radar for you during severe weather coverage. So when we're not on air, we're actually doing the same thing. So we're keeping an eye on things, and we can kind of see how storms are trending before warnings are actually issued. So that's why we try to give you a heads up when we see that. And this storm we were able to talk about. Remember that I told you, whenever you see that little appendage there, that little hook that hangs down on the bottom side of the storm, that's a sign where you've got rotation, because you've got a strong inflow showing up at the storm, and then you've got the outflow. So Kevin just put an updated tracker on this here. And Kevin, I see you got this track heading off towards the north and east. I'll let you talk a little bit more about what you got from there.
Yeah, so the storm's moving northeast at about 30 miles per hour, and at least as of the latest update here at 3 o'clock, we're talking an area located north of Henderson, 11 miles east of Aledo is our area of concern. So we kind of drawn this out for you. We're talking Alpha in the next 23 minutes, Woodhull in the next 28. To go along with this, not only do we have that area of rotation that's of concern, we also have quarter-sized hail. So this was something that we were highlighting here today, and of course the hail core on the north side of it near Viola right now. But in specific, Alpha around 3:15, Woodhull around 3:20. You kind of look at your watch right now. It's 3:03 in the afternoon, 23 minutes. We're pretty much on par with that. So other locations include the Henry County Fairgrounds, Griffin, Gilchrist, Swedona, and Ula as you get into parts of Illinois. So Interstate 74 between mile markers 22 and 33 is where that area of circulation is essentially coming into right now. So we're talking south of Sherrard. We're tracking towards Orion, Osco, and if it's able to hold together, we'd be talking about areas near Geneseo. So that's a brand new tornado warning that we were talking about there for Henry and Mercer County. So we'll not wrap that up, but we'll get back to that in just a second. Of course, we were kind of interrupted there by a new tornado warning, which is I think the 5th or 6th one that we've had so far today.
Yes, very active weather for sure, but that's just a sign of what we're dealing with here in this environment where we have these strong, large supercells that are showing up. And these supercells, you can see, again, they all have that same identity, and that identity is that little hook or the appendage on the bottom side of the storm. So, yes, this is a severe part of the storm that's moving through Prophetstown right now. You're likely seeing some hail, very heavy rain, strong winds. There's the hail core Kevin just plotted there, moving towards Leon Corners and off towards the north and east here. And this is going to be moving towards the Hume area as well. But on the bottom part, right around Leon Corners there, just to the north of there, right along Illinois 78, that's where the potential tornado would be showing up here. This is going to be running just to the north of Lomax Road. So if you know anyone that lives on Lomax Road, or maybe over towards the north here, just about 2 miles north and east now of Lomax Road there, just 4 miles south of Prophetstown, that's where that potential tornado would be tracking. You see this here, it's kind of like a little donut hole showing up there in the radar picture. So right there, you can see right here kind of where there's a brighter area of red showing up and also a little brighter area of green. That's where your rotation would be here, just to the north and east, crossing over Illinois 78 at this time and lifting on off towards the north and east here. So just to give you a little heads up here, this is heading on off towards the north and east over towards Blue Goose Road there and stretching up towards Tampico. That's where the area of rotation will be as it heads to the north and east there. So over towards Yorktown Road as well, this is lifting towards you. So again, you need to be in your tornado safety place at this time. That is the lowest level of your home, the most interior room. You want to stay away from the outside walls and also from windows. You want to make sure you grab something to cover your head with, because again, a lot of the injuries that we see with severe weather occur because of flying debris during these strong and severe storms as they move through. So that's our tornado warned storm there. A very decent look of rotation showing up here with that, again, that little appendage showing up on the south and east side. And usually these storms track on off towards the east, northeast, or the northeast. And so that's the current direction of this storm. This will put it just tracking south of I-88. So we'll be watching that, but it looks to stay just south of I-88 at this time, but just to the north of the Walnut area as it continues on its current track. But sometimes these tracks adjust, so of course we'll be tracking it for you minute by minute there. So this warning again goes at least for another 10 minutes for Bureau, Henry, and Whiteside counties, and we'll continue to watch if they try to extend this. Also notice there's a lot of lightning on the northern part of those storms. So like I said, even though the tornado threat is going to be on the southern bottom part of the storm, the fact is that the whole storm is severe, producing lots of lightning, heavy rain, and wind, and so you'll want to watch this. Something else Kevin is pointing out here for us, this is the visible satellite that he's placing on here, and notice that we have breaks showing up in the clouds back to the west. Now you may think, yes, sunshine, that's good news, but it's not so much good news because, as Kevin was mentioning earlier, when you have rain and clouds in place, that tends to kind of stabilize the atmosphere. But if you get clearing or breaks in the clouds behind that, that tends to cause a more volatile atmosphere again. So we'll have to watch for any storm redevelopment. Although right now the main focus is definitely looks to shift now just to the east of the Mississippi River, where we have several tornado warnings in effect. Kevin?
Yeah, that's right. The tornado watch that we have in effect for our area is in place until 9 o'clock tonight, and really it's going to include the Quad Cities and areas to the east, showing you that our severe weather threat is kind of now moving east to the Quad Cities. So earlier this morning we had that enhanced risk across the entire area. Now it's pretty much from the Quad Cities to Clinton and eastward. So that's telling you that our severe weather threat is starting to shift to the east. So pretty much from now we'll ride this probably until 10 p.m. We'll have a couple of these isolated tornadoes, but we're certainly seeing some large hail on the north side of these, which is becoming a bigger and bigger threat as our afternoon goes on. We're able to get stronger updrafts. The lapse rates becoming a little bit bigger, and flash flooding, obviously a problem. Our ground is saturated, and that really becomes our biggest threat. The long game is the river flooding. The short term, it's flash flooding. So we'll just run through some of these quick outlooks for you in terms of what we talk about severity here in terms of what we expect. So here's your severe hail outlook. Right now we're in that 30% category from the Quad Cities to the east of having a 1 inch or quote-unquote quarter-sized hail or greater. That is the bare minimum for a severe thunderstorm warning in terms of your hail, and you can kind of see your hail parameters showing you that everybody pretty much along and east of the Mississippi River has a chance for that strong or large hail. Now in terms of your severe wind, since these storms, as Cedric and I have been telling you about here recently, are kind of forming in their own areas, they're really localized. A tornado is really small in the grand scheme of things. As the night progresses, they're going to form a line, and once they start kind of stealing energy from each other, it becomes more of a bow echo. That becomes a straight line wind event. But here's the recent update for the tornado outlook. So right now, pretty much from the Quad Cities eastward, which is what we've been focusing on here most of this afternoon, has that chance for an isolated tornado. You see the hatch on there as well. That is a 10% chance of maybe some strong tornadoes developing. And as you look at that tornado parameter, you can tell it's really from the Quad Cities eastward here as of 4:30. So as a whole, that severe outlook, we're going to keep everything in the moderate with the exception of the flash flooding. That's really going to be our highest risk here as we get into the next couple of hours. So the first alert day, Cedric, we issued this here early this morning. It was not a big surprise. Continuing, we said from noon until 10. Well, we're right in the middle of that right now here, as it is officially 3:09. We're coming up on 3:10, and we have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings capable of producing tornadoes, and ones that we were watching looking maybe a little bit ragged, or maybe that's something that's a little bit more of a cause for concern there into Henry and Mercer County. Yeah,
you know, and in fact, if we go in on that storm again, it's approaching the Woodhull area there on 74. This warning, by the way, goes until 3:45, but you can kind of see, even though it does look a little raggedy there, you got to kind of watch again. You've got the two main points that we like to monitor, but yeah, there you go. That is very interesting, Kevin. In fact, I was just about to point that out there. You can see there kind of where you have that kind of blip there, that highlight of blue or purple showing up there. That's just east of the New Windsor area there. You can see that's indicating the potential of something other than rain in the air, and that would be the potential of a little bit of a debris signature there. And again, you can see as we look at the velocity, the direction of wind, you can see not showing a very strong definition of rotation, but there is still some broad rotation just to the north and west of the Alpha area that we continue to keep a close eye on, as well as that lifts on off towards the north and east. But again, this is approaching 74 and Woodhull, so you need to be in your tornado safety place there as that tornado warning continues until 3:45 for the region.
Yeah, and it looks like the National Weather Service is going to allow our tornado warning in Bureau and Whiteside County to expire here at 3:15. Storm, again, they did merge, but we'll keep a close eye on maybe some storms going up to the south and west. But as of right now, that's going to push into Sterling Rock Falls, and as it pushes into Lee County, Illinois, into Dixon, that's when we'll start to see things kind of wind down, maybe temporarily for that area, but we're going to keep close tabs on everything back towards Geneseo, Kelowna, Illinois as well, right along to the Mississippi River, as I think that's where we might see some additional development, and you can kind of see some more storms trying to get going there as you get into parts of Warren and Henderson counties, and anything that's kind of standing alone by itself would be something to watch. And in fact, as you get into between Monmouth and Roseville again, you can kind of see maybe a minor signature of something that's trying to hook around a little bit. And as these storms kind of tap into their own environment, as we've been saying, you get that warm, moist air coming in on the backside of it, you get that cold downdraft that helps fuel that warm, moist air back up into the system. So it makes these storms somewhat self-sustainable unless they start to get too much moisture in them, then they kind of choke themselves out. But right now, the tornado warning in effect there for just Henry County, Illinois until 3:45. You can tell that we have nearly 6,000 people that are impacted by that particular tornado warning, and several chances for showers and storms as you get into eastern Knox County, pushing towards Toulon, eventually near Neponsit and those areas in western Stark County. So that's what we have going on here right now, Cedric. We have the tornado watch in effect until I think it's 9 o'clock. But these areas, pretty much from the Quad Cities, Muscatine and Mount Pleasant, I'm not saying you're out of the woods just yet, but you're pretty close to being out of the woods for severe weather.
And you can see the main energy now beginning to shift on off towards the east here, and that's going to be making its way off towards the eastern half of the area. So that's going to be the area we're going to be watching for the rest of the evening. So while the tornado watch is in effect through later on this evening, this will likely get trimmed as we go throughout the afternoon. But we'll keep an eye on things very closely here. But this is where all the rotating and energy and all the instability is all coming together for potential of those storms. Now you see these areas shaded in green from the Quad Cities metro area back down to Burlington. Those are flash flood warnings, and that's because these storms, while they've been fairly quick moving, they've not been really sitting over an area. They are quickly producing a ton of rainfall. So we're seeing rainfall rates of 1 to 2 inches per hour as these move through. And of course, the storm is not sitting there for an hour, so that means that rain falls in a shorter period of time, has nowhere to run off, and so we're getting the flash flooding. So be aware of that. Remember, turn around, don't drown. We say that often around here, and yet we always have folks that do try to attempt that. So try not to do that. Now, Kevin, I don't know if you can kind of pull out to a wide view and show us. I wanted to kind of show the upper low off to the west and showcase, because while we're dealing with the severe weather threat this evening, you can kind of see here we've got more scattered showers and storms forming. These are going to be tracking more towards the south and east of the metro. But again, that's the overall low pressure there, as Kevin is plotting it right there. Read my mind there. And you can see that's where the rotation is. So that's the energy and the moisture lifting off to the north and east. So right now, that's moving from the metro and shifting more towards the Chicago area. But still, for the next couple of hours, we're going to be watching things very closely for the areas off to the south and east of the Quad Cities metro area. So we've been kind of stuck in this very fast flow moving pattern the past several weeks, getting these often opportunities of rain and storms and even severe weather. And Kevin, if we can go off a little farther off to the west, I want to show just briefly, just looking ahead while we're in this severe weather, we're still not done. So you see this? We've got yet another area swirling out here over towards the Rockies, and that will be moving in as we go into our Tuesday. So the severe weather threat will continue to exist as we have this big trough out to the west, and we have a blocking high to our south, not allowing this pattern to really move any. And so we're going to be continuing to see these daily rounds of storms producing that potential of severe weather. So we can go back in now closer to the area. Again, that tornado watch goes until about 9 o'clock this evening. We'll watch to see if that gets trimmed back any throughout the evening, but we still also have a tornado warning in effect here. Let's see here. It looks like we got an update to that.
We got a new one now until 3:45, it looks like, for Bureau and Whiteside County. This particular cell was pretty much directly over Tampico.